Security with a gentleman in a peach-colored shirt on, the camera pointed towards the students' faces. That needs to be taken care of.
Little girl.
Come on now.
And many other issues. I also come to find out that some of the administration had to leave other schools because of their violent behavior and neglect for the children. But they put them over here. I don't understand why we had a teacher from Gilman Street School going to another area and immediately, because of her past conduct, was immediately removed. Where these people here are doing all types of wicked and evil things to children. We wonder why our children pick up guns and shoot because they're angry, because nobody will stand up for them. I've been to the Board of Education 3 times and they ignored me 3 times. Then finally I went to Mark Leno's office and he put me in touch with someone, and Mark Leno's office had been working with me, but the people that were coming up on the Board of Education's behalf pretended that they never knew anything about it, but the truth and fact of the matter, they know all about it, and I have documentation to prove it. So if you need to speak with me privately and show you documentation, I can. They sent me a letter that said that the principal never sat on the little girl. A little child in my church raised his hand and said, "Pastor, that's not true. I was right there. I saw it happen." And there were many other witnesses, but they're trying to cover it up. Why? I don't know. Our children need to be safe when they come to school.
Thank you, Reverend. On behalf of the teachers here at the school, one of our key representatives who's been trying to correct this through meeting with administrators, trying to, through filing grievances in any way we can to correct the situation, is Judy Gerber. She is the building representative here at this site.
Interim.
And we'd like her to say a couple of minutes of what's happened. Thank you.
Go, Ms. Gerber.
And just to be clear, I am our interim building representative because our building representative was unfairly and we think illegally removed from this school at the end of this year.
What is a building representative do?
Union representative.
This is the union building representative.
Yeah,
okay. So the district tells us that they're holding, our administrators are holding teachers accountable. And what they're not saying is that in this supposedly underperforming school, where we're told experience makes all the difference in the world, teachers are not given respect and support for their work. Instead, veteran teachers are being forced out through punitive evaluation processes, harassment from administrators, and involuntary transfers. Teachers who have been outspoken about the problems at the school have been targeted, including our union building representative. We're concerned that this will be repeated this year with the remaining tenured teachers. And right now we have 25 of our staff members, of our teachers, are going to be evaluated this year. We just got that list today. Veteran teachers are being replaced by brand new teachers or young teachers new to the district, including some without full credentials.
Okay, to get a feel from a paraprofessional security guard who has been at this site for many years, who has endeared himself to the community over those years at Martin Luther King. He's one of several security guards that have been removed from this site inappropriately against our contract because he's been speaking out, because he got injured, because he would take the kids to heart. And so I want to bring up Toby Kane to say a word about his experience. Toby.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Toby Kane, and I was a security here at MLK. Currently, I'm on disability. I was one present when the principal sat on the child. Not only was I present, when she sat on the child, my injury was caused by her inappropriately interfering in my duties to restrain the child. And so we fell with the principal and the student falling on my leg, tearing my meniscus, and that's how I was injured. So yes, the principal did sit on the child. Not only did she sit on the child, they fell on me. At the onset of the principal coming here, I had no problems until I was violently attacked by a student and requested a police report. When that was ignored for the police report, I went to my building union rep and asked him to intervene.
That's right.
And from that point on, I was systematically harassed by the vice principal and principal, changing my lunch hours, just nitpicking on 5 minutes if I go to the bathroom, I was in the hallway, just anything they could do to harass me. And I've documented everything that they've done to me. But my main concern is the kids. You know, we're here, you know, for the kids to have a safe environment and to get a quality education. We cannot do that if our hands are tied. And as I say, the things that we have never been approached as a security staff to ask our opinion on, you know, the problems of the school and the kids. We were just told to do things, and that was it. And if we weren't in area A and taking care of problems in area B, we were chastised or either admonished. So once again, our job here is for the safety of the school staff and the children. And you know, with our hands tied, we can't do that with the present administration being the way they are. Thank you.
Thank you, Toby. This issue has been addressed by the union over the last year. We, at each of these board meetings, has sat the president of UESF, Dennis Kelly, the vice president, who has just passed on the torch, Linda Plack. I have been at each of these meetings when our people came up, you, our parents, you, our students, you, our staff, and tried to explain so clearly to the Board of Education why we needed them to take responsibility because their top administrators were not. And so I'd like to bring up Dennis Kelly to say a few words.
All right. Thank you very much, Alan. There are several key issues that explain why we are here today. As you know, the focus of the nation is on Chicago and the teachers' strike in Chicago. Yes. Chicago teachers can only strike legally over compensation. But if you read through to what the Chicago teachers are doing, they are dealing with all kinds of issues that have to do with student safety and student protection. They can't legally do that in this strike, but that is what is at the heart of what teachers do and why teachers care about their jobs. Yes. If you look at the article that spurred this outpouring today, you'll see that there is one quotation from a central office administrator. And in it, that central office administrator does not talk about solving these kinds of problems. Rather, she talks about demonizing the staff and parents who have brought them forward. We believe that is entirely the wrong way of going about this. We believe Martin Luther King should be a safe school. Yes. It should be a good school. Yes. It should be a school that has the resources that have been poured into other schools that are called SIG schools or superintendent zone schools. Yes. Martin Luther King deserves the same kind of treatment that those schools have had. They deserve the same sort of support. We have not had that at Martin Luther King. We have had a history of administrative turnover, administrative neglect. That is what has got to stop. The administrators must work with the teachers and the paraprofessionals to determine how best to serve the children and the parents of this community. Thank you very much.
Tell the truth. One of the teachers who has been removed from this site, a very highly respected teacher with experience, 2 master's degree, has been somehow deemed unfit to be at this site, and that's one of 17 people who are now gone and that we need to bring back to the school. Yes. I would like Ms. Cooks to please come up and say a few words.
Yes.
Amen.
Yay, Ms. Cooks, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone.
What's your name?
First of all, I would like to...
What's your name?
Linda Cooks.
Linda. First of all, I would like to say Mr. Galgano, who represented us very well, it bothers me that he's not here today. And another thing, I walked into the school one day to bring my grades. I have a torn meniscus. And I walked in, and the child who was sat on came up to me and said, "Miss Cooks, I was sat on by the principal of our school." That still resonates in my mind. And the back of this credential tells me that if a child tells you, or if you know of abuse, you have to report it.
Yeah.
It was reported to the school board. It was reported.
Yes.
And if we don't do anything, we have to stop and think, why? If this was in another area, what would have been done?
Yes.
If it was in another area, what would have been done? If it had been my daughter who is an attorney, what would have been done about it?
Yes.
Okay? What would we do if our child was set on by an attorney?
Okay.
We can't cover this up.
No.
We can't cover it
Come
up.
on, Miss
And
Cook,
I
it's
am not
over.
angry. My students love me. Out of the students who were suspended, ask me how many did I suspend? None. Ask me how many students did I deal with on a daily basis? Every one of them. I love my students, and if we don't love, we don't have anything to give.
Right.
It's the greatest gift that God has given us, is to
Yes.
love one another as we love ourselves.
Yes.
And if we don't do that, we're no better than the perpetrator who sets on a child, who gets away with it, and our district thinks it's okay. They think it's okay. When do we set on a child and it's okay? When is abuse allowed? When is abuse allowed for a child?
Never.
Never.
When is abuse allowed for an adult?
Never.
Never. So we have to stop it. We have to pull back our union. Mr. Galgano, who worked very hard for us,
Yes, Mr. Galgano.
regardless if we had a problem or not, he would always walk up and say, "Hey, if you have a problem, come to me." Nancy, who is the backbone of the school,
Yes.
Nancy did everything for the school. How can someone come in and kick her out? And one
27
other
years.
thing that I would like to say is that if we allow this stuff to continue to happen, we're nowhere than we were years ago. But we have to take a look and say, hey, what does this credential stand for? It stands for everything.
Yes, it
2
does.
masters, a BSBA, an English credential, and I can't teach here.
Come on,
Mice on the mice were,
Justice.
you're the right color. Mice were on the desk. Mice were all over the floor every night. Every night. And if we don't do something to correct the problem, we'll have more problems. We will have more students who are kicked out on the curve, who will make them a menace to society. We're trying to make our kids positive young people.
Yes.
And if we can't do that through the teaching of our with the teaching of our teachers, we have a problem.
We have a problem.
Thank you.
And with the administration who leads us. Who leads us to what? What are they leading us to? Hell?
Hatred. All right. Come on, Mr.
Not against security, but why did
So
you need security?
the theme that we're getting at here is, rather than the administrators of this district and the board taking responsibility and trying to improve things at this wonderful school site, instead we have a massive purge. Well, I want to present to you someone who gave her life to this school for 27 years.
Yes.
And has been with the
Blood, sweat,
district
tears.
33 years and was thrown out of this school because she was a central person, a central truth teller to this Board of Education and to this administrator.
for the truth.
And they were on some kind of cooked up charge that was supposed to be. They never issued a charge. She's still not working. So Nancy, please step forward.
Justice! We want justice! Go, Nancy! Something's wrong. Good afternoon, everyone. Come on, Nancy. What's your name?
I'm Nancy Falawa'o. If you read the article, I am the secretary that was here since the beginning of this school. Through the consent decree, through the harassment that we have been undergoing, the bullying by administration. Not only do they bully our teachers, our parents, but the most important person are the children.
Amen.
Yes.
I want to give all glory to God, because for this day I have prayed. All glory to God, and I thank you for all coming here, media.
Victory.
Yes, those who are supporting us in our move forward to bring justice to the Bayview to the southeast section of this city. Yes. The voices of the parents on the other side of town are heard. Right. One time something happens, they're down there at the school board. Do they listen? Yes, they do. I've been going to the school board meetings to fight on behalf of my children that I love, and I want them to be educated, and nothing's happened. The focus here today is on our children. On the children. On our children. Yeah. Forget about me. But while I was removed, I made the call to 911 when the principal was on top of that kid. No, she didn't sit on the kid.
Laid on it.
She was on top of her and had her pinned down on her knees and on her hands, holding
face to face.
Her hands flat up like this while the girl's on her back.
Face to face, I was there.
I stood up and moved forward on making the CPS report. Did CPS do anything? I'm disappointed in CPS.
Come on now.
They're supposed to be an agency that protects children. Come on now. Nothing happened with CPS. SFPD, I sent them a copy. Nothing happened. We went to the mayor's office and nothing happened. We went up to State Department and still nothing has happened. Thank you, media, for being here today to help us return our school back to its glory. We need to remove administration that is bullying our children, our staff, our parents, our community, and thus everybody who was here who has something to do with Martin Luther King. So I thank you for coming out and showing your support.
Restore the dream back to Martin Luther King.
Thank you.
Restore the dream.
They're stealing the dream from our kids. They're stealing the dream from Bayview kids. They're stealing the kids from they're stealing the dream from the kids that are in poverty. They have nothing. We gotta be the voice. They have nothing. They need the 17 staff members to come back. That's who they ran to for help. They removed every staff member that helped these kids, that cried for these kids, that prayed for these kids. They went home with these kids' problems. When is somebody gonna hear these kids? Restore, restore, restore the dream. Restore the dream.
Restore the dream. Restore the dream. Restore the dream. Restore the dream.
Thank you, everybody. Now we're going to move to the last teacher speaker that we have today, somebody who is highly recognized that even under what went on last year still had to be recognized as one of our top teachers in this school, somebody who knows a lot about what's gone on with special education and everything else at the school. Jamie Sheldon, would you step forward on our union building committee?
Miss Sheldon.
I don't know if I could come up here and speak if I had an evaluation as serious as the 25 other people do this year. I had one last year. And it just behooves me that there's so many people who, due to evaluations, have been exited out of our school, even though they have brought test scores higher, which is amazing. And this was a choice of the administration. I want to speak a little bit about the article that came out is about suspension. We still have a lot of students at our school who do have some violent behaviors. I know a couple of teachers who've been pushed around over the past week. We have a new referral system which is going online. The hard copies that the teachers write are being shredded. Somebody else is typing it up. I've heard not a lot, but some of them have been switched around. If we aren't being accused of not being accountable, and we don't have the hard copies back, they can say anything they want about us.
Expose that, Shelton.
It would behoove me for them not to give us the hard copies back and be part of the whole system in terms of how to deal with this child or these children. I don't have a lot more to say. The principal did brave about the suspension levels going down. I don't know with the shredding of and the online, us teachers do not have the time with the enormous change of putting so many special needs students in the school right now. So there's no time to do much of anything, let alone, I know I need to get back to my class in a couple of minutes right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sheldon.
Yes!
So we have 2 more speakers and we're done. I want to introduce our last parent speaker, somebody who's been around the school for quite a while, very outspoken with the Board of Education about what occurred. Please welcome Sandy Thompson.
Hi, my name is Sandy. I just want to bring up some of the issues that happened with my son, Aheen, that at the beginning of the school year, you know, my son had got suspended on the 2nd day of school here. So I participated all the way through the school, and also I have participated in the board meetings. Every time they say they had a board meeting, I was bringing these issues up, and also with the administrators, I was trying to get things taken care of by my son being abused and bullied here at the school. So when almost at the end of the school year, I got kicked off. I got kicked off the premises here, and the thing is, I was told if I come back up here as a concerned parent that I would get the police call on me.
Justice!
So the bottom line is, you know, I had came up here, I had lost a family member, and one of the teachers asked me to come up to check on my son. Mrs. Everhart shut the gate on me. She didn't let me in the school.
Wow.
I came up to check on my son because of his asthma and everything, and she shut the gate and told me, no, you're not allowed to come back here without my permission, and there's something going on back there that you can't come up to see about your son. I said, what do you mean that I can't come up here and see about my son? You know, and she didn't give me no answers or nothing. She stood there at the gate holding the fence so I wouldn't get back there. The teacher called me back and said, where are you? You know, your son is upset. I need you back here. I said, well, the principal is not letting me back here. You know, I was told that I, as a parent, and I had another parent up here to support me, and my daughter also, and they said that I held the principal, the vice principal, hostage in his own office, which was not true. When he had a phone to either call someone to get help if he needs to be, but he didn't want to hear nothing that was going on about what was going on with my son. So the thing is, we need to get rid of the administrators here because, you know, they're no help to the school. When the kids was drinking alcohol out here, they didn't do anything about the kids walking from the school and drinking alcohol out here. You know, when a parent came out here to jump on a child out here, they didn't do anything about that either. You know, they just sick all the security guards and everybody out here to come out here to talk to the parents when the parents are jumping on the kids. You know, they go hide out. When everything go down, they hide out, and then when everything is over with and the parents come up here to try to talk, they don't want to have no meet. They say, oh, we have to have 48 hours, 24 hours before we could talk to a parent. I think that's unfair for us.
It's a common phenomenon.
So you're saying that the bullying of the teachers is a common thing here at the school?
Well, yes, it is. We just heard descriptions of how 17 of our former members that were here last year are no longer here. They were either fired, they were involuntarily transferred, or they were forced into retirement. And it's a sad dilemma because now we have approximately 15 of our staff that are on probation, our first year employees that can be terminated at the drop of a hat, which is what they want, so that they can bully and they want to evaluate everybody, so everybody feels under the gun that they could be out of the school in no time. Like 2 of our activists, Betty Souch, who you saw here today, and Ms. Ratanavile Cedar, were good teachers who have had good evaluations throughout their careers, and they were given poor evaluations and they were thrown into our peer assistance review, and you can get a 90-day notice of termination at the end of that. So we understand where they're going. They want to silence those people that are outspoken, and they want to bring in people who are the easiest to bully.
Yep. Now you say that teachers are being brought in who don't have any credentials here at the school?
Well, there are some here that do not have credentials at this point, but they don't care. Are
these Teach for America? Who are these teachers?
Well, some are Teach for America, and some are others, and there are a lot of young, dedicated people that are wanting to do their best that they can. But to remove people with 10, 15, 20, 30 years experience, to devastate and not only get rid of all the counselors who were outspoken about what was happening to the students and the community, not only to get rid of those counselors, but to get rid of the whole counseling program at a school like this. That is absolutely essential to have counseling. I can't think of another school in this entire district that needs the most experienced, credentialed people. They got rid of people with doctorates who have been counselors for decades, and they just got rid of them. So this shows that neither the administrators here, nor the administrators downtown, nor the Board of Education that's supposed to be overseeing them, really care about this community or the students. All they care about is covering up what's going on.
And there are no music classes here or art classes at the school?
Well, in most of our schools that is a luxury, and if it exists, it's just slightly existing, but I can't specifically say, but you could ask Ms. Cooks there what exists and what doesn't.
Do you think they want to turn this into a charter? Do you think they want to turn this into a charter school?
That might be why they're bringing in all these teachers that they can that are brand new, that they can do with what they want. It's a fear. We know that the district, that's their answer when the district and the board can't figure out how to do the right thing. They say, well, let's give them a charter school. So I think we need to watch for that.
So you're saying the mismanagement is on the top here at the school, and then they blame the teachers and say we need to have a charter school to replace the whole operation?
Well, that might be where they're going. We don't know. I haven't heard anything definitive about that, but it looks awfully suspicious to me. They're treating this as a school that's being like a turnaround school when it's not. When, like the schools where they get rid of everybody, they bring in new people. Well,
they call it restructuring?
They call it restructuring. There are several names for it, but it's often in communities like this where you need the most stable environment, where you should have the most experienced teachers, people who are really dedicated, people like Nancy who have been here for 28 years building this community in this school. Instead of having people like that, you bring in people who are brand new, who are not from this community, who know nothing about it, who are on probation, and you can force them to do whatever you want because they're scared they're going to lose their job.
Is this something that maybe the administration on site are like puppets for a higher up authority, that they're causing these layoffs?
It's very, very difficult to say. I can't say. I know that this has been our strongest school in terms of union representation. I know that they filed many complaints to the state regarding, in the past, this special ed department not fulfilling the requirements, the legal requirements of their individual education plans. And I think that the district has gotten fed up with people who advocate for their students in a strong manner and that aren't scared. And so it could be that someone high in the district said we need to dismantle that school, we need to dismantle that union building committee, and that's why our UBC members are almost all given poor evaluations. One of them, after 3 decades of excellent evaluations, and had an evaluation in the fall of last year and got outstanding again, then she goes and speaks at the Board of Education, and all of a sudden she's a failing counselor. She gets an unsatisfactory and an unsatisfactory summary. So it's very clear what this setup is. The assistant principal that was here 2 years ago was ordered by the district, by the higher-ups, like you say, to give our building representative, James Galgano, an unsatisfactory evaluation. Ordered. Before it even happened, this is what you're ordered to do. The assistant principal couldn't do it, admitted that he was ordered to do it, and he was immediately removed from the school.
And who removed him?
Well, these decisions are made by Jeannie Pond and her boss, which is the superintendent of schools at that point.
And who is that?
Aranza. No, at that point it was Garcia that removed that.
So the present superintendent, is he continuing the same policy?
Well, we see no change. We don't see him taking any kind of affirmative stance on these issues. He and his assistant superintendent are saying nothing except support for these administrators despite what they hear, and they call it a conspiracy among a few of the teachers and a few of the parents. And I think that what you've heard today certainly contradicts that.
What's his name?
The superintendent is Richard Carranza, and
has he made a statement about this? So his position is that everything's fine here.
Well, his assistant has said that. I don't think that the top person in the district is going to go on record saying that. But you could ask them.
But they haven't been concerned about the problems here.
Well, they do turnover all the time. They bring in new administrators. Look at all the teachers. They didn't have any problem devastating the teaching staff here. But when it comes to administrators, for some reason, they want to promote administrators who are bullies. And that's what's happened here. Natalie Eberhardt was an assistant principal before, and they decided that to advance her, and there are several other principals that they're bringing on that are distinctly anti-union, that are bullies, and the goal is to intimidate people to be quiet about what's going on, while they force all of these changes in special ed and do not deliver the services that they're required to deliver under the law.
Why haven't other city departments, the Department of Public Health, special services, you'd think that there's some agencies in San Francisco who are concerned about students being bullied, sat on? I mean, seems like a very serious issue, I mean, as far as protection of students.
Well, most of our public agencies are very much understaffed. There's been tremendous cutbacks. And how do you deal with a situation when people report what's gone on? You've heard all the witnesses right now, but then you've got the district saying it never happened. And you've got people in authority who are supposed to be telling the truth saying this is just a conspiracy theory and it never occurred.
So they're denying that these incidents happened?
Exactly, even though you heard all the witnesses that saw it. And that we consider that a very, very serious neglect. It's negligence.
Shouldn't these people be removed? I mean, if they're ignoring abuse of students, I mean, these are serious accusations. If they're actually happening and they cover this up, isn't that cause for removal?
Well, that is why UESF and the community here is supporting the fact that we need a new Board of Education. If these commissioners, after hearing these people speak 7 times, are not willing to bring errant administrators, abusive administrators, administrators who are not paying attention, who don't care about the students nor the community here, if they're tolerating those people in place, then the Board of Education needs to take responsibility. They haven't. And so we're seeking a new Board of Education that with people who are willing to take these issues to heart.
Now the chairman of the board, what's his name, Yee?
Leland Yee?
No, the chairman of the school board.
Yeah. Not Norman Yee.
Norman Yee. Norman Lee. I mean, Norman Yee. What is his response to this?
Well,
he's running for supervisor. I mean, what's his response to this?
Right. I think that we haven't heard from him one iota about what's going on here, despite the fact that he heard this testimony. So we're very concerned about him becoming a supervisor representing a whole sector of the city if he wasn't even able to deal with a simple problem like this and see the reality of what's going on.
So you're saying he was MIA, he was missing in action?
Well, that's why you saw some of the signs here that said Board of Supervisors MIA at MLK.
Okay, thank you.
Student tells you she's been set on by this credential that I hold. It tells you that anytime you know of any type of abuse to a child, you must report it. And I really stress the fact that we had a great union person, Mr. Galgano, who would listen to all of our problems, and to see him mistreated for protecting and doing what he's supposed to do as a union rep, it's really a disturbing thing to see this going on in our our school.
This University of Phoenix, is that a program?
This is my master's from University of Phoenix. I have 2 masters, a BSBA, and English credential, and to tell me that I'm not capable of teaching in this school here, a rat-infested school with a lot of challenging students who were in my classroom, very manageable.